Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome all of you on behalf of uh, Pakistan Tourism Development Corporation, Pakistan Association of Tour Operators, Pakistan Hotel Association, and Sustainable Tourism Foundation, Pakistan. Ladies and gentlemen, as you are aware, we are celebrating World Tourism Day 2021 throughout this week. And on this occasion, we are organizing various events, webinars, and training sessions for the stakeholders of tourism industry in Pakistan. As you are aware, we have announced this very special training session of 2 hours for the tourism industry stakeholders on the use of social media for marketing and promotion of tourism in Pakistan. And today we have a very special guest who is going to conduct this session with us. As you're aware that in today's world, the use of social media is one of the main tools to promote tourism products and brand. So I think we have been lagging behind in many ways in Pakistan to really project the image of this country, although we have a huge potential to attract various segments of tourists to this country from foreign world, overseas Pakistanis, and within the domestic market. In today's session, we'll be trying to cover up various aspects of social media and their use and how we can effectively implement a plan in which we can utilize social media to promote the tourism products which we have. The resource person who is going to give you a 2-hour session with us today is the lady from United States of America, Angela Carson. She's with us. I'm happy that she has been traveling in Pakistan since November 2020. And we came to know each other through the help of social media. We haven't met personally so far, but we have exchanged so many interesting information with each other and try to utilize Angela Carson's potential to promote Pakistan's image through her own YouTube channel. Angela basically is a kind of a travel writer. She's a vlogger. She's a YouTuber. Over a 25-year career in online marketing and branding, Angela worked with various startups, hospitality and tourism brands, and she also toured with famous American band Guns N' Roses as their head of social media in 1926. In 2016, she left 9-to-5 job and finally decided to travel around the world and do the reviews of different tourism services and products. And now she is a famous YouTuber, and on her channel there's a 5.5 million views. People, I think, really like her traveling around the world. She's in Pakistan these days and also reviewing various 4- or 5-star hotels and traveling around, rather exploring some of the most remote locations. Angela will tell us more about her traveling experience in Pakistan before going on the topic of today. So Angela, thank you very much for taking time out of your busy travel routine and sharing your insight on social media with the people of Pakistan tourism industry. So over to you, Angela. Thank you very much for joining once again, and I hope it will be a very beneficial session for the tourism industry people of Pakistan. Thank you very much. Over to Angela.
Thank you so much. That was a lovely introduction. I want to apologize first for my voice. In the past 3 nights, I've slept on a train, in a circuit house, and now I'm at Movenpick, Karachi. So I think I'm catching a cold. But yes, for the next 2 hours, the idea is to finish on time. We'll do about 2 minutes of my background, so you do understand a bit that I am coming to you from a place of experience and not just a YouTuber who fancies herself like a social media person. I'll share about 5 minutes of my experience here in Pakistan, so you get a sense of what it's been like for me as a foreigner to travel in Pakistan and the journey that I took. And then we'll go through different areas like branding, social media, websites, YouTube, influencer marketing. And at the end, whatever time we have left, we can use for Q&A. Normally, I do these sessions with one business or one industry segment. So it's been a little challenging to think of examples to use that aren't only tourism boards or only hotels or only restaurants. So I hope that the examples I've chosen will keep us going, but just know that if you have deeper diving questions, you can reach out to me later after this as well. I am not a Zoom expert either, as you'll quickly learn. Let's see. Okay. So just really quickly, I do have a passion for travel, and it started at the beginning of my career. So my very first job in marketing and branding and comms was in California for a startup in 1996. And I worked on my first website in 1996, my first email marketing campaign, branding a startup business. And little by little over the years, I went from being a marketing coordinator to moving to Europe and working in Barcelona for 10 years. And there I climbed the ladder and worked my way up to basically a chief marketing officer. I managed teams that did all of the marketing. In 2008, when social media really started coming forward, my teams managed that. I've been responsible for teams across 15 countries in the world, and I've now worked in Asia since 2011. I lived for 3 years in India. I lived for a contract role in Beijing, 1 year in Hong Kong, 3 years in Malaysia, and I was in Indonesia the past 1 year, working for a boutique hotel and starting my own consulting company when COVID hit. And my consulting company was focused on tourism and hospitality. So I lost all of my clients except one restaurant I still have in Kuala Lumpur. And that's when I decided to come to Pakistan. So when I decided to come to Pakistan, it was supposed to be a 50-day trip. I shot a video back in October when I first met Aftab as well, all about the 50 days that I was planning. So the plan was to explore, well, what I first saw were videos of Eva Zubak and Rosie Gabriel, and it made me, I realized how beautiful Pakistan was. Then I found the YouTube channel of a gentleman named Saif called Balochistan Land of Beauty. And he went to all of these places that when I Googled them, couldn't find very much on them. Whereas the videos I saw of Rosie Gabriel or of Eva Zubak, you Google those places and they're very famous places in Pakistan. It's where everyone goes. And it made me want to go and explore those places that Saif was going to, more so than where everybody was going to. And so my 50-day plan turned into what was supposed to be like a month traveling and reviewing the 5-star hotels of Pakistan, because no one had ever done that before. There were a few random hotel reviews, but there's not a guide, like the city guides to Pakistan. So if a business executive from across the globe is thinking of coming over, he wants to know where to eat, he wants to know where to stay. And there isn't any of that really, not for, from foreigners for foreigners. There's local guides, but they're often in Urdu or aren't exactly what a foreign guest is always looking for. So I reached out to each of the 5-star hotels in Islamabad, Lahore, and Karachi. I planned a trip where I would see UNESCO sites as well. Like my very first day exploring in Pakistan was at Taxila, and I had the best time. I illegally flew my drone a few times, got into trouble once, but I had a lot of fun. I created a guide that was slightly different to what anyone else had really put out. And so that was the plan. I was reviewing the 5-star hotels and visiting lesser known historic sites. And I did that. In Islamabad, I went to Faisalabad, then down to Lahore. And then from Lahore, I took it slow to Karachi. I took a couple of trains, a couple of buses, a couple car and drivers, and I reviewed off the beaten path sites. Ended up in Karachi. Didn't really do much sightseeing in Karachi except for a half a day with the guys down there from the tourism department. And then I went to Balochistan and absolutely fell in love with Balochistan and ended up spending over this year in 2021, 52 days traveling Balochistan. According to what we can find out, I'm the tourist, the person not working with an NGO or not on assignment, who has spent the longest in Balochistan touring around and documenting of anyone since 9/11, which I'm really proud of. So I've done some amazing things here in Pakistan. I have mostly wonderful stories to tell. I was invited by the chief minister of Balochistan to the Cholistan Desert Rally, and I ended up spending a week in the camp village of the tribal leaders of Jal Maxi, who are both politicians, Nadir Maxi and Amir Maxi. I was the only woman I saw except for the handful of, I think, 5 female rally racers. And that was really fun. I've tried to experience things a little bit differently. And in the end now, I've spent so much time here. I've decided to write a book about my 10 months. And there's adventures and like mishaps and like funny travel stories. I got my heart broken while I was here, which I haven't had since 2013 was the last time I had been in love. So that was kind of an interesting diversion to my normal travels. But I've had a wonderful, wonderful time. So I feel like there was a part of me that wanted to set up my company here and live here. But I think that you guys are still a year or two off from that. But we'll get more into that. I have some comments later about like infrastructure, just managing trash and like education programs. And there are just certain things that I feel like for me to settle down and to open up a hospitality business here, it's too soon. But I've had the best time, and I want to share as much as I can in this time with you. So we're going to start with branding. And forgive me, it's going to be a lot of you just listening to me and watching me. I do have some things to share with you. But I want to try to convey, because I feel a lot of times that people think that sales and marketing is the number one thing that's going to grow your business or grow your brand. And again, I know that I'm talking to people who work with hotels right now, travel organizations, travel agencies, the PTDC. So I'm going to try and make this as general as possible. But it's not sales and marketing that's going to grow. It's your brand. And that brand is something that first starts from within. And we've all been to those restaurants or facilities or hotels or businesses where the employees look miserable. They don't look happy. You can tell that it's probably not the best work environment. Or maybe you walk into a restroom and the bathrooms aren't perfectly clean. Or at a hotel, there's just a lack of, I don't know. I think that there are identifiable ways to tell when a company's internal brand isn't being loved and taken care of, because that internal light ends up shining out. So when you're starting to think about branding, we're going to talk about the external side, but I hope that everybody keeps in mind that branding starts from within. So it's everything. It's how you treat your employees. It's how, like, the special things you all do together when you're not working, et cetera, et cetera. So if you can keep in mind that branding starts from within, then I want to show you now the external beautiful side of branding. Let's see. Okay. So I have a few, again, sorry for my voice. Okay. Now I'm going to use a hotel and I'm going to use tourism boards for this example. When you see this, this is a, sorry, I can't see. Let's see. 1 second. Okay. This is a boutique property in Sri Lanka called Wild Coast that I reviewed back in 2017. Now, when you see this first bit of their website, you instantly get a feeling for what to expect. It's something special. It's different. The furniture stands out clearly as something unique and that they focus on. And it showcases nature. You see quite quickly as well that this website keeps their color use and their font use to a general minimum. Okay. Now, when you're talking about, sorry. Okay. Now, when we're talking about branding, there's basically 4 elements to it that most people consider, right? And most people think that their logo is their brand, but that is not the brand. Again, it starts from within, but it's so much more than that. It goes on to include even how you comment on social media. So it's your logo, which we see here as number 1, and that is true. That is going to be your most identifiable asset. And some companies do it well, some don't. Definitely the rule to go by now is the simpler, the better, I would say. When you're keeping your brand in mind, you also want to think about colors. Now, on this, I took this graphic from a site that I use. They say no more than 4 main colors, but I feel like that's, I think generally if you stick with 2 colors plus black and white, that should be it. So when it says 4 main colors, it doesn't mean like red, purple, yellow, orange, and then black and white. That would be 6. So I would say mentally when you're keeping this in mind, because I know in South Asia there's a love of color and there's a tradition of using color in a way that's for Westerners like quite it's a lot sometimes. So it depends on who you're trying to target as well. But I think for today's session, let's say that we're looking at bringing people in from the outside. So if you want to start managing your brand in a way that will be attractive to like a global like standard, then keep it to 2 colors plus black and white. Fonts, this is also a really tricky thing. And if I were going to, I know that using a brand agency or a graphic design agency can be expensive, but if I were going to recommend the use of that for you for anything, it would be for the logo and for the fonts. I think colors, you know, we have very personal opinions about that. The owners or the director of marketing is going to want to input there. But with fonts, it's such a delicate balance to find the fonts that are going to be on brand for your business. And it really depends on what it is. If you're a luxury company, you need to have those fonts that look more like, you know, here, like the sans serif, so no, not very fancy, not playful. These are serious but modern fonts, and they're easy and clean. Let's see, let's go back to our graphic. But if you have a company that maybe focuses more on families and kids, and it's a bit more like activities driven, you can be a little bit more playful with your fonts. Anyway, for me, I find fonts to be, people either get it right or they don't. And generally when they don't get it right, it's probably they've done it themselves. So that's one thing to consider getting some help with. Here would be fonts. And then your visuals, right? What's going to be right for your brand, which I want to talk about more in detail. So here you can see they have all these amazing drone shots. But as you go down, I've also opened up their Facebook page. Hold on. They've used really interesting illustrations, which you don't see very often. So it makes you again feel like this website is something special. They've done something special here because you don't see that often. But the use of photography is so spot on. They've even color graded. You know, they aren't bright colors. Here you can see that they've used some professional grading to get these images to look safari-like. So it's all quite perfectly, like, it looks exactly the same throughout the entire site as far as the brand image. If I were to see one of these photos on Instagram, I would instantly think, oh, that's Wild Coast. And that's what you want from your brand. You want people to be able to feel like they're getting to know you. So sorry, I wasn't keeping track of time. I think we have 5 more minutes on branding. Now, I went and I opened up their Facebook page as well. And it's the same thing. You can see it's exactly what you would expect from the website. But they do some interesting things. So like I was saying, that sales and marketing isn't the best way to generate your revenue. They are using valuable sales space, you would think. Places, you know, a social media post is for a lot of people a place to sell, but they're doing it in a way that entices you. And with travel and tourism, you don't want to sell a product or service. You want to evoke an emotional response. You want people to think, oh God, I wish that was me, every time they see one of your posts. You don't want them to see a post of yours and think, oh, they're trying to sell me another package. So for Wild Coast, when they're posting, I don't know what their cycle is. My guess is probably 2 to 3 times a week they post. But here they've used, you know, their peacocks. They talk about the indulgence of afternoon tea, which I have done this. It was right on the beach and the elephants walked by and it was amazing. They also, they continue to show the safari, but as I mentioned, this property itself, the furnishings are what I most remember. It looks like something out of the early 1900s, and it's something special, and they focus on that. So this is a really good example of a brand that extends their brand image is spot on everywhere. There was one post I wanted to show you where they replied back. Okay, I don't want to go too far into this to find it. Oh, here we go. And just the way that they replied back as well. Someone said they had an awesome time, and they replied back just as a friend, as a friendly, like what you would put as a friend. Just thrilled to hear you had a great stay with us. Hope to see you again soon. You would mostly say that to a friend or, you know, close relative. So they speak from the heart, but simply. So that was one. I think we're going to skip this one. And let's go I have, let me see. Wait, sorry, one second. Okay. I'm going to be as gentle as possible here. I went today and I pulled up the PTDC's Instagram, but I took it back to where I first came to know PTDC. Okay, so this is November 19th. I arrived to Pakistan in November. So for me, this was how I know PTDC in the beginning. And then all of a sudden, right, this is now getting into December, things right here start to change, right? This is December 25th. And all of a sudden, the PTDC's Instagram was perfect. I'm not a big fan of these quote things, but that's a personal preference. But all of a sudden, it stopped being graphics driven. It stopped using text on the images, which you don't want to do on Instagram, except maybe once in every 10 images. But it went and it became like an influencer or a top tourism board channel. And I remember reaching out to PTDC and saying, hey, wow, what happened to your Instagram? It's amazing. And they said, oh, yeah. We hired an agency to start helping us. But then something changed. It's still basically perfect here. And then things change. Now, I understand about wanting to post about the lost climbers, and I understand about that, but I feel like there could have been a way to do that still stayed on brand. But starting about here, I don't know what changed, but something did, and these kind of posts started creeping in a little bit. And then it went, let me see, sorry, it went back to normal for a bit, but it's changing again. And I feel like there are certain posts that, oh, sorry, one second. See, he keeps going back in and out, like the agency takes control, but then they don't. But some of these posts feel a bit like, God, I'm really trying to be gentle. They just don't feel right. Like when it's, I think I'm going to get off this because I don't want to rip anybody. But these, okay, posts like this, I'm not sure what that is. I think maybe that was a warning, or it's something that looks really, well, I don't know what that is. But it starts to look like a government-run, like not propaganda website, but some of the posts start to feel that way, like some of the meeting posts, et cetera. And I'm going to say this, and it's going to sound completely terrible, but I say this in all of my workshops, especially for luxury travel, or if you're trying to entice the foreign guests, and especially for the hotels. Restaurants can kind of get away with it, but the hotels can't. But you never want to show the staff. And that sounds terrible to say, but it's the basic rule, because you want for anyone looking at your social media to want to put themselves in that place. And you want them to be slightly jealous. Oh, why am I not there? And to feel that connection to like their wander heart soul to want to go experience whatever they're currently seeing. So it's best to keep the team stuff to a separate corporate side of social media, and to keep this space for something more like, okay, there's a few that tourism boards that do it really, really well, like Visit Jordan. They have a beautiful, flawless brand online. And what they promote is their website. Their website's also really lovely. So they promote their app, they promote things, but it's done in a really nice way. Then Dubai also does quite well. They have a very Instagrammy, like influencer style, and they work with a lot of influencers. So theirs is quite good, but what they do is they drive people to their YouTube channel, not to their website. And they specifically, this opens up directly onto this video here with Zac Efron. But they have a lot of money that they spend because you can see all of the very famous faces as part of their influencer campaigns. And these aren't even the travel influencers who don't make the cut on their YouTube channel, who they collaborate with. So Dubai has a really good image because for Instagram especially, you want it to have this feel. And we'll talk about that a little bit more later. But as far as branding, I think that's what I wanted to share with you. Sorry. Oh, I cannot get back to my document. 1 second. Okay. So it's definitely not just a logo. And the main thing that you always want to think is what makes your brand special or different, and to try and push that forward. Like the Wild Coast example, just go back to that when you have doubts, because everything that I remember about my 3 days there, I see on their social media. They highlight those moments for people on social media and always make me want to return there. Okay, guys, next, Facebook and Instagram. So we're going to go through, I'm using a friend of mine's social media, Zishan from Explore My PK.
Excuse me, Angela, we can't see your screen. Are you showing some slides or?
Oh, yeah, did it go off?
Yes, I think we can't see your screen, yeah.
Did it just go off?
Can you check again? Have you shared? Yes, now it's fine. It's now visible. Thank you.
How many minutes was it off?
Well, about 3-4 minutes. Yes.
Oh no. Okay, I wasn't showing. Oh, did you?
Yeah, you can go back if you like. Yeah, please.
Was it the Dubai and Jordan?
We missed to see what you were showing about Egypt.
Okay, so
sorry, Oman. I think you were showing something about
Jordan and Dubai. Okay, and I had already shown the PTDC.
Yeah, that's
Instagram,
good.
Right? Okay, so Jordan does a really good job. I'll show you this just really quickly. But even as far as branding, they keep their colors in line. They do these special icons for Instagram story folders, which is nice. But their image of how they want you to feel about Jordan is so clear. It's very romantic. It's very, desert. You feel, well, there's quite a bit about food as well. So there's a passion for the culinary world there. But they do a lovely job. Like, I feel like that would be the perfect place for me to visit based on their Instagram. And Dubai also, here. And this is the website that it goes to when you click the link on their Instagram. So what they're promoting most is their, I think this is their app, Jordan Pass. But they have some really interesting things on their website. The website's clean. It's not the most modern and sexy of websites that I've seen, but it is very clean and it is enticing. And I did want to keep scrolling And that's basically what you want, is to keep people on the page. It's called being sticky. So you want your website to be as sticky as possible so that people don't leave. So that one's quite nice. And then Dubai, I don't really love their logo. That it doesn't feel, Dubai's brand to me feels more elegant than that. That's just me personally. Their icons here as well aren't quite as elegant as Jordan, but they are nicely done in the color palettes there. But they have a gorgeous brand image that they project. They want you to feel like it's a vibrant city, but they also share those moments in the desert. So it's quite a mix with Dubai. It's very different to Jordan. Jordan was more about that longing soul of the desert. And Dubai is a bit more of a mix, but they go to, oops, one second. They go to their YouTube channel from the link on Instagram. And they have videos with really, really famous stars from around the world. And that's how they promote. They have less than 500,000 subscribers, but they often get in the millions in their views. So their YouTube channel is quite interesting. Okay. So now we're going to go on to Facebook and Instagram. My friend Zishan, who has Explore My PK, is going to let me rip apart his Facebook page and Instagram to show all of the like no-nos and things he's doing wrong. I'll also show you all the things he's doing right. But I'm going to show you quickly basically how to set up your Facebook and Instagram to be at best practice level. Oops, I did not mean to do that. Sorry, one second. And honestly, my voice, this wasn't from the train. I think it was from here last night. I couldn't get the room to warm up enough. Okay, Zishan's. Okay, here we go. So when you're setting up a Facebook page, especially if you're trying to attract foreign tourists, you really need to, again, keep that mentality that your page, your brand image, everything that people see on the outside should be aspirational. It should make people want to be there. So where like for a clothing company or like Burger King, you can get away with a lot of text and money, you know, like prices, and it can be quite crazy colors and all of that. That's not really what you want for the travel industry or hospitality industry. So Zishan, you can probably see, already has made a couple mistakes here. It looks like this was created for an older size cover image. And Facebook changes their cover image sizes periodically, so you really have to stay on top of that. I don't like all of the text that he has. When you're on Facebook or on Instagram, your logo or profile image and the name of the company or brand is already going to be clearly identified on every single post. It's also on the page. So there's no reason, logically, if you think about it, why anyone would want to put it here as well. Also, the phone numbers and website address, all of that information is here and clickable. And people often have like they use this for a WhatsApp direct link now. So on your cover image on Facebook, you really don't have to put all of the text that you think you want to put. Like, I know for some people, it feels like it's supposed to be there, or they're not going to get their message across well enough. but that's not the case. It really is, Facebook and Instagram are platforms that are designed for maximum exposure for the advertisers, which are the pages. So you can make this image something that's really fun and something that's a bit more on brand for you without all the text. Like Zishan's, his website isn't up, but that image that he uses here with, like, you know, the feet kicking out the sides and they're off-roading, to me that feels more, I would have preferred to see that there. That would have made me get a clearer picture of what his brand is, which is kind of like a laid back travel company that, you know, it works with a lot of friend group, you know, it's groups of friends that use him and all of that. I would have had a clearer picture of his brand from that website image than what he has here. So keep that in mind when you're posting your Facebook cover image. What is that initial feeling that you want people to feel? Because if you remember back with Wild Coast, like this one is perfect. The color grading, the way they've desaturated things, that feels exactly like how they want you to feel. So that is the first big thing that most brands do wrong here. Putting the text on, putting the text on and not using this space to invoke that first emotion. So I just want to show you, we're going to go to the About page. So this one, he's got this right, well, Tourist Information Center. I'm not sure that that's what a tour guide or travel agency is, but you want to clearly identify what you are. I've seen brands that make mistakes, or they try to, I don't know, put something there that obviously isn't who they are. So make sure that with this, because people do see that it is clearly what your business does. I also, okay, that's good. He has his WhatsApp. I would definitely add WhatsApp in here. That's how most people communicate nowadays. If a company has WhatsApp, it's easier to work with them, especially from overseas. And you generally know that when you're pinging the WhatsApp, you're getting the sales team. Whereas if you message on social media, if the brand is big enough, you're often getting the marketing and comms team. So I would definitely recommend setting up WhatsApp and keep this about as clear and short as possible. You don't have to put a big roadmap to how, you know, the company evolved and like the founders and the this and that. People don't really care about that so much. Yes, maybe when you were founded, if you've been in business for 10 years, or you were the like first family run travel agency of your area, or something special that makes people remember you, would be great. So anyway, this is basically everything else he's got done quite right. It was more the cover image. We're going to go back to events later when we talk about promotion. But I will say, let me open up Zishan's Instagram. So he posts without images more than he posts with. And the video content that he has does better than the images, which it does for everyone. So when you're, hold on, let me go back to Facebook. Okay, so when you're trying to promote, like for here, I would have rather seen a 20-second video from Zishan of gorgeous landscapes of Hunza, or maybe it could have been 5 seconds each of what you would experience each day, with some text. But I don't think that this graphic is going to be, like, it doesn't have any likes. It's been up for a while. But had it been a video and been something that made people like, oh, yes, I wish I was there. Sorry? Hello?
Angela, continue, please. I think someone has forgotten to keep its mic on mute. Yeah.
Okay. Great. Aftab, if you want to keep me in control on time as well, tell me if you think the sections are going over. I'm happy to have you interrupt me. Okay, so the concept is good, but I would have made this a video. Video is going to do much better for you on Facebook and Instagram than an image like this, because these are the kinds of images that were first around when social media came up, and no one wants them anymore. They want something different. They want to feel engaged and like inspired, and that's not going to do it. You need that information, but you can put that information inside. I have a client of mine, that last remaining client of mine in Kuala Lumpur. This is it. It's a restaurant, and you can see that like it's not perfectly curated. We're just kind of like it's a family-run Italian cafe and grocery store, and we sell products each week. We have a weekly video, but we don't use the graphics very often. It's just not needed. It's what you feel when you come on here is that this is a place that doesn't take itself very seriously. It's super about the food. I think the brand image that we want to convey comes across. That's what you want on Instagram and Facebook. So here, keep in mind, video is going to do better for you. You should have clickable links to people to be able, and for them to be able to get in touch with you. Like this, I don't think is as needed. All right, let's look at his Instagram, because the Instagram, all right. He actually has 2 Instagram accounts, and I asked him why yesterday he has 2, because this one you see has 20,000. This one only has 478 followers. And I thought it was some kind of mistake, or maybe he lost the password and he couldn't get that one to close it. And he told me that he actually uses it as it's like a backup dummy account, because often in Pakistan, when you boost a post on Facebook or Instagram, Facebook will block your ad account, which I've had happen to me twice since I've been here. All I was doing was posting a nice little travel story, but some word in my video description, I guess, triggered the bots in Facebook. And for over 30 days one time, I wasn't able to boost posts on Facebook anymore. And so Zishan keeps a backup Facebook and Instagram, which isn't, I'm sorry, he keeps a backup Instagram to use for boosts when he has a problem with the Facebook and his normal Instagram. So it's not a bad idea, actually, given that I've had that problem, because if you did have a trip or some special event coming up that you had to get that boost out for, you need a backup ad account and you need a backup account to post to. So here you can see like the videos generally do better. That's with that's even with my client in Kuala Lumpur. You can see there's like 1,800 views here, 1,300, and 170 likes or 47 likes on the photos. So keep in mind that you want someone on your team who starts to get progressively better with video, because your videos are going to do much, much better than just your posts. Now, here, I think I'm going to use my client's Instagram for the sample. What you want to do here is keep your logo to the smallest version. Some logos have quite a bit of text. You really don't need to have a lot of text. So keep this as clean as possible and make sure that it fits within the circle, because sometimes you see logos that are cropped off. It looks very unprofessional. I would also highly recommend If you're based in just a particular city or a country, to have an identifier of that so that when people are searching, like people often search for like cafe in KL, and we come up because we have KL, which is the Kuala Lumpur, the term everyone uses for that. So here we have a very concise who we are. Italian cafe, pizzeria, and grocer in the heart of KL, open, blah, blah, blah. That is the information we wanted to put out. We deliver food, groceries, and wine together. And then you always want to give people the hashtag that you'd like them to use when they're referencing your brand or business. Now, I don't think PTDC, sorry, let's go back. Okay, they don't do this, but if you look at Jordan, they've clearly done that well. They also just have a very simple official Jordan Tourism Board page description. And Dubai, oops, sorry, let's see. Dubai also has that. That's really important. It's the way that you can find content for your Instagram, because you won't always be able to take all the photos and videos yourself. If you look here at my clients, these two were from guests. This we shot ourselves. These two were from guests. This we shot ourselves. So every week I go and I find the content that we've either been tagged in or that people have used our hashtag, Bottega MY. And it's a great way to give our page that feel that we want. We don't have to worry about, sorry again. We don't have to worry about generating so much unique content. And it works really, really well. This is a hotel brand that I like. They do this as well. They use influencer shots. It's the way you want to go for your Instagram, for sure. All right, I think that's it. Let's get off of Facebook and let's see. My screen is still sharing. Yes, okay. How are we on time? It's 11:54. I think we're okay. All right, YouTube. Oh, let's go have some fun with YouTube. Okay. I think I'll start. Let's use Dubai to start. Let's see. Now, they have done, this is almost a perfect example of a YouTube channel for a tourism board, right? They have a perfect background image that is very Dubai. You recognize that one structure immediately. And it's very clean. They have, you can have a maximum of 5 links here. So they have their website first, then Facebook, then Twitter, oddly, and then Instagram. Their about is quite long, but they have the link to the website here. You can grab their address. This is all really standard. Now, the reason that you want a YouTube channel is because Google owns YouTube, and Google is the #1 search engine in the world. YouTube is the #2 search engine in the world. And people are consuming more and more video every day, every minute. And the number of those views on a mobile device is growing exponentially, like day by day by day. So when you're creating content for mobile devices, everyone turns their phone. So you always, for YouTube, want to shoot horizontal video. I've seen brands doing it where they probably were doing something for Instagram or for social media, and then they share it as well to YouTube, but it doesn't look professional when you do that. But for, let me see. Okay, I'm just going to type in Pakistan tourism. I have no idea what's about to pop up. Oh, Eva Zubek, nice. So top influencers are here. And Eva's videos are amazing. Like she was the first to do so much for Pakistan. She and Rosie really are the reasons that I'm here. Let's see if we type in PTDC. Okay, now it comes up, which is great. So let's go and check PTDC. So there's only a few videos, but I think, yeah, you guys are starting to post more. So here, as an example, I would change this background image to something beautiful. I know it would be of the north because that's what's iconic for Pakistan. And I would hopefully in the future see this name change to something more like, I know that there's a campaign coming out soon and a new website. So I'm assuming that that's going to be something Pakistan, or that it'll be something more like the Visit Jordan. And then this would change here. But you want a YouTube channel because of SEO. So I'm going to, let me see, type in best hotel in Islamabad. So when people are typing in, you want for your content to be found, or you want for your influencers that you've collaborated with content to be found. So here you see like ads come up first, and then I don't know what that is, but that looks like a paid kind of thing, not an influencer kind of thing. Sorry, let me see. What's that? Okay, road trip to Hunza. Yeah, these are all mostly influencers. So if you started to create content, like Zishan has a YouTube channel, and his content is quite good. He's just not been very consistent. But if you start to be consistent enough, maybe once a week posting, or once every 10 days, I would say is the most you'd want to go if you really want to implement a YouTube strategy. You really want to kind of think in terms of SEO and think in terms of what people are typing into Google. Because when you go to Google as well, hold on. So when you're, that was a bad, sorry, I did not set my examples up great for this session, part of the session. So basically what you want is for when people are typing in a travel issue, or they're trying to search a brand, you want them to find you. And if you do that with YouTube and a blog, your chances of getting on page one of Google are much better. My videos come up, let's see, I'm trying to, the one I know comes up, plastic surgery, Pakistan. Okay, so this is my video here, right? It doesn't come up because this is my page. It comes up, it should come up if you do the same. But I was looking for plastic surgery in Pakistan. I found it, I got it. And now when you go to Google, you can find my video. You want this to happen with your YouTube content. So I have had this happen as well for different hotels. I've seen that on Google, my videos come up. So you either want a really strong influencer marketing campaign where you're leveraging other people's videos capability or their channel reach to generate that kind of result for you on Google, or you want your own YouTube channel. Your videos should be generally between 3 to 12 minutes on YouTube. You definitely don't need tons of text, but if you keep text in there to keep it flowing, that's great for people who are watching on their mobile, but with their sound off, which is also a growing number. I think the number of people on Facebook who watch videos on their mobile with the volume off is something like over 45% now. And it might be more, but I was pretty shocked when I realized how many people watch videos without the sound on. So putting captions enabled for your video is important. Adding text to keep people flowing more and more is becoming important. Yeah, so the third point I wanted to make was that you want to answer the most commonly asked questions. And that is true. Like when I'm searching for someplace, I will start on Google part of the time. But if I know it's a travel something that I'm searching for, I just go right to YouTube and I'll type in like, you know, top 5-star hotels in Lahore. I'll do that first on Google. I'll get my list and then I go to YouTube and I'll just start Googling and I'll see which ones actually look the best, which ones seem best for me. People do that for everything related to travel. So if you can find a way to answer the most commonly asked questions on Google, think in terms of how people type in to Google search, and then you name your video that search query. That is going to be one of the biggest keys to getting you onto page 1 of Google. Because right now, Booking.com, all the third-party aggregator hotel websites, the travel and flight booking aggregators, they own page 1 of Google because they have the biggest ad spend. So the only way to do that is with that video trick. It's the only way I've been able to do that for clients of mine who didn't have massive budgets, but we focus on a certain set of keywords. We could keep putting videos out with those general slightly tweaked keywords, and they eventually get onto page 1 of Google. And it's a trick that's worked for me for the past few years. It still works now. As you can see, I did that for a collaboration with a plastic surgeon in Lahore. And it took me just 2 videos to get onto page 1 of Google. So that works really well. All right, let's go. What's next? Okay, 15 minutes of website and promotions. All right. Sorry, I'm going to take another sip of, I have Joshonda here, but it's really cold now. Okay, Joshonda, my favorite thing I'm taking back from Pakistan, I swear. Okay, website and promotions. The same thing I was just telling you about YouTube applies to your website. Your website is never going to be on page 1 of Google unless you're a company with a shit ton, a whole lot of money. You're never going to be there. It's going to take so much effort unless you have such a niche market that you can get in somehow, or you're in a small province, or you're, I don't know, you have to have something really special about you that's super niche to be able to get onto page 1 of Google. Most of the time you're going to be page 2 and 3, and people don't normally go past page 1. So if you think in terms of SEO, which is search engine optimization, it's basically, SEO is how Google's algorithm, like the base of how it functions. So when you are searching for something, Google then takes that and it delivers to you the results that it thinks are most in line with what you're looking for. So you want to think about SEO in that way. And one of the best ways to do that with a website is with the blog. And the blog titles are the same concept as the YouTube titles. You want to think in terms of what is someone looking for? What am I solutioning for them? Like they're trying to find the best hotel in Lahore or whatever it is. So if you create blog content and your page content is focused in a way that Google knows exactly what you have on that page, it will sooner deliver it to someone who's looking for it. God, I did not explain SEO very well. I'm really sorry. It's been a while since I've tried to explain that. But I want to show you a couple of examples of websites. That Gold Coast one is just, I love that, but we're not going back there. There's a travel company. I told you I lived in China for a short time, and I helped build their website. And if you come onto this website, like, you instantly get a feel for this brand, right? The logo is very understated, which gives a feeling of a bit more luxury. The fonts, again, are similar to what we saw with Wild Coast, where they have very limited use of color as well. But this website is for a travel company, a travel agency, travel company. And they're really smart. They give people a place to query exactly what they're looking for right at the top. And they show you, with photos, exactly, what China adventures can look like. This is a really nice site. If you click over onto their small group, I wanted to show you an example because I did one search term here in Pakistan for like travel agency, Pakistan, I think. And the first one that came up, I'm going to use as an example. I don't know who they are. I'm sorry if you're on this chat. But when I went to their small group tours, I saw that they had this streaming of Shangri-La, the Yunnan Tibetan valleys. And so this is done really well. This is very clean. If you're a travel company, this is a really nice way to show at a glance information that you have, basically your products, right? So this is a perfect way to package up your product. It's called a content box. This particular content box is very clean, but it's still visual. And when you click on it, it goes to this page. This is amazing. I mean, it's exactly like the Tibetan Valley. They could have posted something that was just the mountains, but they chose to do the knots, the prayer knots. I'm sorry if I got that wrong, but which pulls at the heart, and it makes you feel kind of an emotional response instead of just, oh, I wish I was there. So I find that a really clever image use. This website is really clean, really easy to find things that you're looking for. You don't have to do tons of clicks to get to where you want to go. They also make it easy to go to different sections, because once a page gets quite long and people are scrolling, this kind of additional navigation is kind of a respect thing to give to users who are visiting the website, just to make it easier for them. So I think with websites, what you want to do, oh, sorry, I said I had that example. I had typed in, I was looking for a Shangri-La trip. I was going to do it as a comparison. And this one is a local company. They do have just the background. For me, it doesn't have the same feel. Like when I landed here, there's a difference between the quality perception, the luxury perception. And it's quite interesting because there's similarities between the two sites, but there's also differences just with the color use and things. It doesn't feel as high end. Like the perceived value or perceived, of this particular brand isn't as high for me as it is with Wild China. So I didn't go on to PTDC's website and use it as an example because I do believe that there's a new website that's you guys are waiting to launch. So I didn't want to do that. Okay, when it comes to creating the website, you also need for it to be mobile friendly. So here you can see an example of a site that's quite visual. It has that search box as well, like we saw with Wild China at the top, which is nice for people to make queries. And these must be their main products. But here you definitely want to, when you're creating the website, you need to keep going back and checking on your phone. And when you're doing this, you don't check just on one browser. You install on your phone various browsers. So Chrome, Firefox, Safari, whatever it is. And you need to make sure that it's mobile optimized. And the tools that web developers are using now make it really easy for them to tweak things, but they're basically making two sites from one. They're making the desktop version, well, three, the pad, like iPad and tablet version, and the mobile version. So when you're going and you're doing your testing for your website, don't just focus on the desktop. Be sure to get a few browsers and make sure that your mobile optimized version is perfect, perfect, perfect. And then I wanted to share two things. A WhatsApp marketing list isn't something that I've seen very much here. Maybe I've missed it. But with, let's see, this client that I told you I have in Kuala Lumpur, we started a few years ago collecting people's WhatsApp. And we generate a significant amount of business now from the WhatsApp messages when we have special offers or there's new products. What we don't do is we don't spam them when we don't have something interesting though. So part of the reason we keep doing weekly videos is because we want to have that content to share on WhatsApp, have like a reason, an excuse to reach out in a friendly way. And then we use that to cross-sell a product. So travel companies can do that. You could shoot some amazing video or share an influencer that works with you, their video. WhatsApp has new restrictions now. You have to stay under 17 megabytes and things like, do some research and figure out what you can send in group messaging. But I find that the WhatsApp marketing list works better than the email marketing list this past year because people just, they kind of don't see email marketing as much anymore. It's kind of like when you land on Google, you don't really see what's on the right-hand side, the ads or the top listings, because you know those are ads. So your mind just kind of, I don't know, it just mentally doesn't see them. It's kind of the same with email marketing. I don't think it's as effective as WhatsApp marketing now. But if you were doing something like Zishan's, wait, what is happening? Hold on. Where was, here we go. This one. Okay. So if he did have this 5-day Hunza and did it as a really pretty video of Hunza, where it was just like 20 to 30 seconds of beautiful landscapes, then he could do it completely without any of this additional text and graphics and things like that. Just make it an aspirational, beautiful video. And then in the text, just say, you know, hey guys, thought you'd like to know, you know, we have a 5-day trip to Hunza Valley coming up. Let me know if you're interested. These are the dates. I would keep it slightly more conversational in tone. I wouldn't make it salesy and marketing-y in how you communicate on WhatsApp. I know that Pakistan is a bit more professional, or there's more ma'ams and sirs and things like that here, in that it's slightly different than Western social media and marketing. But I do think that people like to be spoken, well, actually, I feel like I shouldn't be the one to comment on that because I'm not 100% sure about Pakistan. I haven't really run campaigns except my own here. You'll know better about that. But I feel like being more genuine and less slick and salesy is the most effective way to be both on social media and with WhatsApp campaigns. So, okay. All right, how are we for time? Oh, we're doing good. Yes, okay, we are going to end.
Angela, we are on time. I think you want to tell us something about the use of influencers in tourism promotion at the last, and then we can take question answer. Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll do a bit more than 5 minutes on influencer marketing then, since we have a bit of time. I'll do like 7 minutes. Okay. So influencer marketing, I've done it from both sides. I was a chief marketing officer up until 2006. So I've run tons of influencer campaigns from the companies that I've worked for. The first one I did was in Europe. I did one for Guns N' Roses. The word influencer is kind of ooey and gross. I don't love that word. But I am an influencer within the travel and hospitality sector here in Asia. I'm a very teeny tiny one. Aftab was not correct in saying I'm famous. Although I will tell you, just as a fun side note, because I love this story, I was famous in Balochistan for a bit because I attended a camel race in a village and the media came out. They knew I was going to be there. And for days after that, wherever I would go in Balochistan, people would come up and be like, "You're the camel lady," because I was on TV enough for that. So that was like my one famous moment, I feel. But okay, I digress. So I've been on the side of the influencer as well. Now, speaking specifically about Pakistan, you guys are not used to dealing with influencers. It was hard to even get to the right person. Until I finally got to like the right person at Hashu, and then I could deal with a bunch of hotels all at once, or until I could get the message I was sending on Facebook Messenger to different smaller hotels, or even like fine dining restaurants, just to introduce myself, explain that I wanted to come in and shoot a video and include them in my my travels and promote them, and that there wouldn't be a charge for that, that I just wanted to come in and could we set something up? And until I nailed down like the perfect little script, I wasn't getting people responding back. I think Serena was the first to reply back to me. I got in there quite quickly. But with the smaller brands, there isn't that, you guys just don't have that kind of experience yet, like generally speaking, working with influencers. And there's often like a negative, with the bigger brands, they knew, like, we just set it up. Okay, this is what I'll deliver. This is what I'm requesting from you in exchange. Just host my stay, feed me once a day. Don't let me starve, that kind of thing. And they were fine. The hotels generally got it, but trying to work with different other types of travel companies, it was tougher. I think that what you're going to experience more is the inbound influencers. So I don't think that right now, unless you have a campaign that you want to run, you would probably be doing outbound influencer marketing. But if you are doing outbound influencer marketing, or you're trying to vet the incoming influencers, there's basically, like, you want to make sure that they're on brand for you. So if it's like, I fit well with the luxury brands because my channel in the past was just 5-star hotel reviews. I didn't really do a lot of vlogging until I came to Pakistan, and then I started vlogging more. So that was a fit. But if my channel had been like just food and I went to a hotel and asked for a collaboration, it doesn't make as much sense to say yes to that person. Like, you want to be clear with who should be promoting you, that their brand is to the standard of your brand, and also that the audience, because what you're looking for with someone, especially with foreign influencers, is a new audience, right? People that would never know who your brand was unless they saw it from this trusted influencer. And the problem that I saw with a few properties, not in the main cities, because no one had really documented the 5-star hotels in the main cities, but originally I had thought about going to the north. I never went to the north. But I started reaching out to a couple of the nicer hotels that I found first. And they replied back with basically like, no, Eva Zubak's already reviewed us. We're not interested. But that's not the point. Like, my audience is completely different to Eva Zubak's. And someone, and like, who watches from the geography of who watches my channel is different to hers. And the type of traveler is different. So there's a mentality, I think, with some like hotels that I found, was that we've already had that done once, we don't need it again. I think that all hotel, travel, tourism, hospitality brands should allocate monthly budgets for influencers. And whether that's local, like domestic influencers, or foreign influencers coming in, if you're a hotel, have X number of nights per month built into your next budget that you have, and try to like keep some spare for if someone has like a last minute, like a good influencer that you want, that you can see has a channel that would be good for you. Like, try and keep a little bank of emergency influencer spending. If you're a restaurant or a tour company, I know that the travel companies like Zishan from Explore My PK, he helped me with a couple of my day trips in exchange for me promoting him on my channel. And he, within the first week, I think, had people calling him saying, hey, I saw your Angela's video. I want to do this too. How much would it be? The same with the one travel company I used on my first trip to Balochistan. They had inbound leads almost immediately. So they work. You just need to pick the right influencer. There's also ways to check for fake accounts. You should Google that, or go onto a YouTube video and check, because I've seen influencers here in Pakistan that aren't real influencers. You can tell by the engagement. There's certain things that you can tell. So I won't go into it now because I don't want us to go over time, but definitely check for fake accounts, because there's some real smooth operators out there who make it look like they have real accounts, but they don't. Okay, and how it works. Basically, I know that everyone has a tight budget, and right now with COVID, it's the worst time to be in hospitality, travel, and tourism, like, that we've ever known in our lifetime. Well, sorry, you guys we're in Pakistan. I forget where I am sometimes. It's a rough time right now to be in this industry, but you can give things away. If you're a hotel, obviously it has to be the night stays. If it's the better influencers, they're not going to take less than 2 nights in exchange for video and things like that. But you could limit the amount of F&B that you include. If you're a tour and travel company, you have to figure out like how to make that work, and what you think your inbound revenue could be from sponsoring someone. But once you have it, make it very, very clear in an email together, or you can have a document created, but generally an email is what we're all used to. And you just put exactly the deliverables from that person, like, and you put in exactly what you're going to be giving. But when you communicate with influencers, you definitely want to do it with a graciousness, because I've had a couple of brands, it was like they were doing me a favor by us collaborating, and you don't ever want the influencer to feel that way. I don't think the influencer should make you feel that way either, but you are getting something from that influencer that you can't pay for. You're getting an audience that you wouldn't have access to otherwise. You're getting often millions of views if you get the right influencer, or hundreds of thousands at least. You're getting social media engagement and people that can quickly like click links in Facebook to get to promotions that you're running. You get access that you couldn't pay for with the budget that it costs to host that influencer. So just always try to be friendly, be sweet, you know, don't come off as like you're doing them a favor, because I don't like working with those brands that make me feel that way when I'm setting things up. So, okay, I think that's it. Do you guys want me to talk about the outbound influencer marketing, like how to quickly set that up, or should we just end it there?
Angela, if you want to say anything else, you can do that in next 5 minutes. After that, we can take certain questions which people have asked in the chat, and we will also allow people to ask live questions. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I'll give a quick couple minutes just on outbound campaigns, because here in Pakistan, there's really amazing travel and hospitality influencers, and they should be tapped. I know that you guys probably do. Like I've been to events at hotels for like International Women's Day at Serena, but I haven't been invited to like a blogger event or a YouTuber event by a brand. So I don't know if I just haven't seen them or I wasn't invited, or if they just don't happen very often. But because they aren't probably done as much here right now, I think that you could make them quite popular. Or, I mean, you could get a good turnout. So what you have to do first is identify who you want. The bigger influencers are either going to want money or something really good in return. So you may have to have some physical budgets to deal with a couple of the influencers, because it really is like hours of people's time. It's people getting back and forth from point A to point B. It's the post editing and writing, and it's access to that audience that you don't have yourself. So there is value in setting money aside for some of those influencers from time to time when you can. But basically you want to get creative and find ways not to pay people. So if you find the influencers who are on like the cusp of being quite famous, but aren't yet, and would like a collaboration with your brand, like you want to explain to them clearly, like, we want to invite you for a session. We're going to be talking about, you know, our new trip to wherever. Or if you're a hotel, you have a new menu launching, you know, invite people over for that. I'm sure you guys all do that anyway. But you want to give like a little gift to them as well, either when they first arrive or as they're leaving. And everything with those campaigns, like, they're only going to do it if there's enough benefit to them, unless they're new, like new, and still doing everything just because they're trying to grow their channel. So yeah, I would reach out, like Instagram message, and just ask if they have an email address, because you want to take it away from social media and get it someplace, get it to email where you can track easier. And just send an email, tell them what what you would like to invite them for. Again, be super gracious and, maybe tell them one thing you like about their channel, etc. And then, unless you want to be one of those brands that is a little bit more harsh, you could add a sentence that says, in exchange, it would be wonderful if you could write about us on your blog or share a few Instagram stories while you're here, whatever it is that you want from them. Say it would be great if while you were here, you could but you just make it really easy, send it by email, and in-person events seem to work really well. If not, and you want to do it virtual, that's fine as well. You can work with influencers further out from you. But I think working with influencers is one of the best ways to get a brand in front of new eyeballs and to get exposure that, again, you could never pay for otherwise. And oftentimes, if the offer that you send is creative and fun enough, like you'll get people that you can get more than what you think you can just by asking. So I would definitely try this month or try in October some fun influencer marketing campaign, because I think everyone will be surprised at what they can generate from an outbound campaign like that.
Okay. Thank you very much, Angela.
I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, that was a lot of talking.
Wow. Okay. Angela, it was really great. I mean, I know it's not an easy task to talk about social media marketing in such a short time, but you have done great, rather remarkable job sharing wonderful ideas and tips in a very short time about the use of brand, about the use of logo, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and websites. I think obviously we need more time on each and every subject to do more detailed sessions. Hopefully later on we'll have more sessions with you in which we can invite the participants to be more prepared to have their side of inputs to get reviewed by you as well. Anyway, I think we can take certain questions people have asked on the chat, and there are certain hands I can see which people are raising. Someone has asked about that which influence more. I think let me open the chat box. I can.
This is funny. I have people privately messaging me their Facebook pages asking if they've made any mistakes. People want to be reviewed.
Okay. So Hina is asking, what grabs audience attention more regarding tourism?
Yeah, well, as far as format, it's video, like video, all day long video. But it's that I think that it depends on if it's an adventure traveler, they're going to want to see something that sparks their, that adventure spirit. If it's someone, you have to think about who the audience is or who you're selling to. And if it's a luxury something, find moments of luxury that you can share, but it's always going to be video that does best as far as format.
Great. And we have a question from Talha, who's asking how many posts should upload on Facebook or Insta to engage people?
So no more than 3 per week is my suggestion. I think you can do 3 main posts that you share on both Instagram and Facebook. So make the format nice for, you don't want for like text to be cut off. So you have to be a little bit careful about the way that you're creating these so that you can use them in both places equally and have a nice look. But Instagram story, you can do 50 a day. It doesn't matter. People love Instagram stories right now. And I don't go onto Instagram, like normal Instagram, as much as I do stories. So Instagram story, you can go crazy. Twitter, you can go crazy. But 3 posts max, Facebook and Instagram.
Okay, great. And we have another question from Salan Khan, who's asking which strategies and tools you will recommend for the hotel industry to overcome the recession during the post-COVID-19.
Strategies and tools. Yeah, it's just such a hard time. I mean, and it's Pakistan, which already had a hard time like for so long. So for the hotels with COVID, because the government keeps closing indoor dining down. So sometimes the F&B is running, sometimes it's not. It's a really hard time right now. I think trying to maybe go with a staycation.
I think he's more concerned about the promotional strategies through the media, use of media, not the strategies otherwise, but the tools by use of how to influence the people to, through media or the social media.
Wait, so like campaign sort of ideas, like focusing on staycations and trying to get people to think about like going on holiday in their own city, or I'm not 100% sure I follow, because I think, yeah, I'm so sorry. I don't think I follow.
Okay, we have another question from Zan. He's asking, I think, as according to the theme of our first priority should be promotion of poor and disabled people. So my question is how to promote them and attract them towards tourism sector through social media.
Okay, so those are two different, I see that as two different things. So people who, if you're trying to get like lower income families to think about like exploring a bit more, or I assume this is this is someone in tourism department?
Yeah, I mean, use of tourism for poverty alleviation or the community welfare or the well-being. I think there's a role of government and private sector both. I mean, for especially in the case of Pakistan, we can see that there's quite a lot of tourism activity taking place in the mountain rather in far-flung mountain areas where there's no other industries, where there's no other business opportunities. Tourism is one of the sector which can, provide jobs and livelihood opportunities right at the grassroots level. So for that, there's a need of enabling environment created through the government policies and facilitative environment for the private sector to move forward and invest in tourism sector in those areas. I think can be very, very much helpful. There's another question. Dr. Sharif Khan is asking, which type of social media is effective in medicalization? I think he's asking about the medical tourism. Which type of social media is effective for medical tourism?
Yeah, I think that one's tougher because people will generally go to Google and YouTube first before social media. So social media is with people who already trust a surgeon or a physician or a clinic, or like are already fans of theirs, right? So I think for trying to promote medical tourism, it's getting good videos and like articles and things written that are for Google and YouTube. And then as far as social media, I guess it depends on if it's a private practice person, but Instagram is definitely what is used outside of Pakistan more than Facebook. I don't use Facebook ever. I hadn't used it in ages until I came to Pakistan. So I think there's different types of content. There's raw surgical videos and like kind of real raw before and afters that seem to be used by some medical professionals here, trying to show like the real side of it. And that's on Instagram and Facebook. But I would say to attract foreign, like inbound tourism, medical tourism, Instagram would be it. But it's really the Googling. Everybody Googles first, you know, when they're looking for a surgeon or some kind of treatment.
Yeah, I can add a little bit here. Recently, we had a detailed meeting with Ministry of Health in Pakistan, and the Director General of Health in Pakistan is planning to launch a website exclusively on medical tourism in Pakistan. There's certain very nice high-scale, high-level hospitals available in Karachi, Islamabad, Lahore, where people can come for medical tourism from different countries, because in European countries, medical treatment is very, very expensive. And we have the finest doctors and facilities available. On the other side, we are also looking at the opportunity of wellness tourism. As you see, Pakistan is a country where there's a heritage of Buddhism, there's a Sufism, there's a spirituality everywhere. So quite a lot of wellness tourism can be promoted in future as well. So we are looking at as a niche market, as a special product, which will be developed gradually, because in today's travel market, people are more and more becoming, specialized, not just going for, holiday spending, but also getting some, kind of treatments and other wellness exercises or things like that, which could make their traveling experience more enjoyable and more beneficial in terms of both. So that's the idea which will be coming up in next few days. Anyway, there's another question asked by someone who is saying how to register our company with PTDC. PTDC basically is not a registering body. A Department of Tourism Services in each province is the body which actually registers the travel agent, tour operator, hotels and restaurant, and they issue a license to operate officially. So anybody interested can send us a query on the Facebook page of PTDC and let us know in which province you exist, so we can give you the contact of that office, and you can go there and find all the details about the registration process. But in any case, if you are willing to be part of PTDC efforts to promote, you're most welcome. You can get yourself registered, and you can like our Facebook page, and you can get all the updates about various events, sessions, and webinars, which we are trying to conduct in coming future as well to build the capacity of stakeholders. We have also planned to conduct even longer online workshop for tour guides, tour operators, hoteliers, and restaurant owners about improving the quality of services in Pakistan, because that is one of the main concerns these days. The standard of hygiene, as Angela also mentioned, the quality and hygiene and cleanliness standards, they are lacking. The Western world, they're very, very strict standard in tourism services. So we are now trying to build up the capacity. Government has already developed Pakistan national minimum standard for tourism and hospitality document. And now we are doing the stakeholder consultation, and when it's approved, so that minimum standards will be applicable on all the services available in tourism and hospitality side. We can also open the house if somebody would like to directly ask any question. You can raise a hand, or you can directly talk right now. We have last 13 minutes to wind up. Thank you. Anybody would like to ask question? You are most welcome. Amina Khan is interested to ask something. Amina, you may speak, please.
Assalamu alaikum. Hi, Angela. How are you?
Hi.
Thank you so much for your talk. Very informative and very exciting to hear you. I just wanted to ask, in comparison to other countries that are trying to lift up their tourism sector, how do you feel, where does Pakistan fare, and how has your experience been here while you've been here? And do you think it's improved any during your stay? And what made you choose Pakistan?
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so I chose Pakistan, I'll be very honest, because my Indonesia visa was expiring and I have a USA passport, and it was Pakistan or Dubai in this general area that I could come to during COVID. So that was why, but once I started researching, it turned into something else. I really got excited. First, it was just going to be for a few weeks. Then it extended to 50 days. And then I fell in love with Pakistan, and I kept extending my visa. And now I'm leaving in October finally. But yeah, it's okay. So Pakistan is lagging behind. It's sometimes the small things, like there really is a big problem with littering and trash, and even at the tourism facilities I've been to, because I have traveled I've put out over 75 videos, none of the north, so it's a lot. I've visited a lot of places, and it's been quite shocking to see all the trash and the plastics. And you know that there are employees that are supposed to be like a lighthouse keeper, right? Caring and loving over this tourism facility, but it's not being that love, taking care of your children. I didn't feel like these places were loved as much as they should be. I don't know if that makes sense, but I think that needs to be addressed, because places should be clean and not have plastics everywhere. And
so you think they're taken for granted?
Genuinely,
I mean, by the locals in general. I mean, when you don't have a lot of foreign exposure.
Sorry. Yeah, I think that, okay, I'm just going to be really, really honest. I think that what happens is that these places, when they're first launched and the ministers come and there's the big event and the media's there, they are perfect. They are pristine, and they are like everything that everybody dreamed of who was working on the project. And then when it gets turned over and the local staff are there to manage and run it, the facilities, it's just not the same. I've seen places where in just 5 months of a place opening to being back again, it was like night and day. Nothing like when the day the minister was there and the media was there. So I feel like there needs to be more responsibility placed on making sure that it's always the way it was supposed to be dreamed up. There's education programs that need to go into place about littering, because that is a really big problem here.
Yeah, I think I endorse Angela. I mean, travel and tourism is all about nice places, landscape, the culture, and heritage. And it's the responsibility of the visitors as well as the host community to take care of all these assets, because these are the assets on which your whole product is based. So there's quite a lot of effort is required to, make tourism more and more responsible and sustainable and eco-friendly. And especially you see that Pakistan is mainly a domestic tourist destination. And which is more confined in the summer season when there's the holidays and schools. So a large number of tourists are traveling to mountains and remote wilderness sites. And most of these sites have even no waste management or municipality systems. So there's a huge pressure on these sites, especially in the remote areas of the mountain. So now we are working with the local governments and the provincial governments to have destination-specific tourism management plans. In each management plan, we are focusing on exclusively on the relative sites where all the departments and the stakeholders will work together to establish a mechanism through which they could make an effort to manage the trash, the sewage in those areas, the building, well-being, they should look nice and everything. So, but it's need quite a lot of, effort. So at least now government have started work on that, and hopefully in near future there'll be more better sites which will be available to the tourist in Pakistan. And some examples have already been set where people are working, to improve their own condition. Anyway, we have one, before I ask the other person to ask question, I can also request the members to please switch on your videos for a while so the administrator could take few pictures of you, and that could be used in the reporting of this event. We have a hand raised by Ali of Kotham. Ali, would you like to ask some question?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for allowing me to ask the question. Angela, thank you. It was very effective session, especially on this time when we require marketing of our this tourism sector, particularly regarding this education, as you have highlighted that tourism education should be focused upon. So what do you think, in short, what a few steps we should be taking to have more of certified or qualified human resource in this sector? And particularly when I was understanding from your side that you were saying that the influencer is a very key role in having a digital marketing strategy. So what, can we have influencer marketing course rolled out in this region, maybe through your expertise?
You mean from the actual tourism PTDC?
Ali is from Kotham College of Tourism and Hotel Management.
Okay. Sorry, Ali, do you mean, is it possible to have an influencer program rolled out here in Pakistan?
Yes, this is my second question. The first question was that in your experience, that what smart steps we should take to have more of qualified human resource in hospitality sector.
Okay. See, I don't know how many hospitality colleges there are or training centers. I didn't actually Google that, but I know that the more there are, the more you'll have. But I think also attracting the foreign brands to come in will help with that, to generate, because they'll help with trying to get new training facilities set up here as well. But yeah, I wish I had a better answer for you for that.
And for the second question about influencer marketing course.
Yeah, those would be, I think that every brand or company could be doing those. I believe that small mom and pop restaurants could be doing those. I think the PTDC started doing that this year. I'm part of the team who I met when they reached out to me. They had a really broad idea. They let us do whatever we wanted. I know a couple of the influencers who they reached out to, and but yeah, I think every brand and every business should be doing that.
Yeah, Angela, on the PTDC side, we are working on that. We have already engaged certain Pakistani and outside vloggers to produce some content. But after, you see, these days we are also working on launching of Pakistan tourism brand, which will be a campaign in post-COVID to attract more foreign tourism to Pakistan. And for that, we are also in a process of engaging a company who will be responsible to engage quality Pakistani and outside vloggers and YouTubers to be part of a larger team who will continuously produce quality content for the promotion of tourism of Pakistan. So that process is on, and hopefully in coming days, there'll be quite a lot of interesting tourism-related content that will be available on social media and on websites. Anybody else want to ask anything? We have last 3 minutes, and then we'll wind up. Yeah, Mrs. Shanaz, you would ask question. Thank you. Thank you for joining.
No, most welcome. Thank you for inviting. Angela, I was wondering, you mentioned that you felt that Pakistan is at least 1 year behind where you would like it to be for you to set up something here. And other than the littering, what else is it that is holding you back? Can you please tell us that?
Yeah, okay. Again, I'm just going to be really honest since we're all amongst friends. I had started the process of trying to set up a company here. And then because I spent so much time in Balochistan, I started being investigated as a spy with the ISI, and friends started getting interrogated. And I feel like maybe a little bit more time needs to pass where there's a little more trust, because I'm not the first foreigner to have that happen, but I know that there's people being a little bit more vocal. And there's a job that I want in Gwadar in 2022, and I've interviewed for it once now. So I'm not going to be a silly person and say anything negative about any of those things, like on a broader level. But I just felt like maybe it wasn't the right time yet, because I didn't feel as much trust anymore that I could set up my life and that I wouldn't maybe be deported for one thing or the other. But I'm American. I lived in India. There's a lot of negative things when you look at my bio that are red flags, I suppose. But yeah, that is one thing. And then I think there's still, like, PTDC is still getting the new website ready. Like the tourism board itself, I feel like it is on that cusp of like making the leap to looking more like Jordan and Dubai. And I think then, because my business would be a consulting business, and I think that right now it's tough times. So getting Pakistani companies to pay me to help them, also, like, it feels like it's not the right time. But it is lots of little things like the infrastructure maintenance and those things as well.
Thank you.
Dr. Shahid, would you like to ask any question? Dr. Sharif? Now your mic is mute. Can you switch on your mic?
Thank you, Rana Saab. Thank you very much for arranging such informative section. I have a question with Angela. Already he has replied some of part of my questions in his previous, that we are conveying the soft image of Pakistan. They have misconcept, world have misconcept about Pakistan. Now the new Pakistan. What do you think that about Pakistan, your experience? Especially we think that the woman is more safe. I have been in USA and the other countries. The woman is more safe in the present Pakistan than any other country in the world. What do you say about the tourist safety and the safety of the woman in Pakistan?
Yeah,
regarding the tourism. Yeah.
I 100% agree with that. I spoke at the Islamabad Tourism Forum this year. It was specifically about Balochistan, but I used the example of California gun violence and murder rate versus like just Balochistan. And it's such more violent. California is much more deadly and violent and dangerous than Pakistan And even then just Balochistan, which I know Pakistanis feel Balochistan is this really dangerous place, but it's a mentality thing from domestic Pakistanis as well. So for me, I feel more safe in Pakistan. I do not like going home to California. When I go to the cinema with my mom, I'm like, okay, mom, if a gun shooter comes in, we hit the floor. And she's like, why are you telling me this? But I genuinely am concerned about gun violence every day when I'm in America, but I never feel that here. I think it takes more people from the outside, more foreigners to come in to show that the lies that have been told. It's very frustrating right now politically as well, because the US is trying to use Pakistan as a scapegoat with their mistakes in Afghanistan. So it feels like things are starting up again, with negative publicity for Pakistan. And yeah, I think you just have to keep the positive conversations going as well.
Okay, thank you. Now we have almost reached at the stage where we need to wind up. First of all, Angela, thank you very much for sparing this much time and sharing your insight about the social media marketing for tourism. I hope we'll have more time in future in which we will discuss more about the technicalities of different aspects which you highlighted today in terms of use of different mediums and modes for the promotion of tourism and hospitality sector in Pakistan. As you know, Pakistan is not as developed as many other countries in terms of tourism. I personally feel we are just at an infancy stage. You see, although we have so much potential, but not the right kind of effort which has been made in the previous governments. But now the government is very much serious, and they want to develop this sector as one of the major segment of national economy. And especially you must have seen in media that present Prime Minister is very much keen to utilize tourism to provide large-scale jobs for the young people and create livelihood and economic opportunities for the people in remote areas. Although we have issues, we have problems in various aspects, but still, I think if we work together in terms of the stakeholder collaboration, we can achieve good results in coming days. And I would like to thank all the participants who have joined this session in spite of a holiday and taken interest in this discussion. And a number of questions have been asked. And I hope many people who are watching this webinar on Facebook, and also the recording will be available for later utilization. I wind up this session today. Tomorrow, PTDC is also organizing 2 more physical events in Islamabad. One is the paragliding event, which is happening in Magala Hills, and the other is a youth rock climbing competition, which is also in Magala Hills, taking place to commemorate the World Tourism Day. So it's just an opportunity to remind people that tourism is an important segment of world economy, and it's linked with the lives of millions of people. And this year, the theme is the inclusive growth of tourism. So tourism growth is for everyone. I mean, every person has some contribution in terms of its growth. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining. Angela, if you want to say any final thanks, you are most welcome.
I would like to thank you. And it's been so nice to talk to you, because we have known each other since October, but never face-to-face and never video. So this is very fun. It was a pleasure to knowledge share. If in the future I can give individual detailed workshops, I will always do that for you guys as my way of saying thank you for the wonderful hospitality here in Pakistan. So thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thanks a lot for joining today's session. Allah Hafiz. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela.